Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm not doing a reaction until later on tonight. Today I've been talking about for a very long time that I'm going to tell you what my thought process is and how I write my music as such, how I write my own style and how I try and not uncopy other people, but while at the same time taking mass amounts of inspiration from other people. And I thought today I would do that. Sadly, most of my stuff is written in this mobile phone that I'm recording on right now, but I managed to find one of my songs that I wrote, must be about 5-6 months ago, I think. I wrote this song, and the song's called Beat that I wrote. But let's talk about like how I use rhyme schemes. I tend to use a regular rhyme scheme quite often. So I tend to use like a regular rhyme scheme. I tend to use like generic rhymes at the end of everything. But sometimes if I'm finding like songs that I'm quite inspired by and that I quite like listening to, that I think would be good for people to listen to, I tend to do a thing called inner rhymes and outer rhymes, which is where you find a word that's inside the verse, inside the line, that you rhyme with the second line. So for me, like for inner rhymes here in this song, in the same line, I've got tired, fired, inspired, and they're all in the all in like 3 different lines. So I've got like tired and inspired and then fired, and then on the 4th line I've got retired at the end, so it kind of just blends to the end. I think most of my songs after this tend to got a bit better. I was able to inspire more creatively, and I was inspired more how to write songs. I tend to look at like more complex rhyming and more interesting rhyming. So like I've been recently writing a song which doesn't have a title yet, but I think will work pretty well. I'm inspired by certain people when I write my music. It's mostly Machine Gun Kelly, Slipknot, 21 Pilots, Linkin Park. At the moment, Eminem. I tend to do a lot of work with inner rhymes and outer rhymes with Eminem. There is something that I do that I've done for like ages, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, and it's kind of bending my own English language. And Post Malone does it quite a lot. Like if you listen to some Post Malone songs, he tends to do a lot of like bending the language, the English literature, to his own way, so he can make 2 things that don't rhyme perfectly, and I tend to do that quite a lot. I've learned how to do it, so it's quite inspiring for me to do. I used to write in an ABC rhyme scheme. If you don't know what an ABC rhyme scheme is, it's like A, B, C, and then the 4th line will be an A, B, and a C. So A and A rhyme, B and B rhyme, C and C rhyme. So that's like very difficult to do, and it is like you don't get like the right flow, and it is hard to work with a tempo on that, which I don't enjoy doing. So I just went back to normal rhyming, and it's just how I write now. And don't worry, it's quite fun to do the ABC one. But when I was writing beat, I came up with the ABC rhyme. Got halfway down the first verse, I went, nah, screw that. This just looks different, and I don't like doing it. So I stopped doing it. I just stopped writing and recording like that. So yeah. What else was I going to talk about? Like how other rap artists might inspire me as a person is basically I'll listen to what like MGK's songs are like, what Eminem's songs are like, what Mike Shinoda's some of Mike Shinoda's songs are like, and I'll work out how I do that as a person and how I push a rhyme out into that instead of just sitting there and going, well, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. I actually try and experiment, and I experiment with all sorts. So like at the moment I usually try and do songs with like 1 or 2 syllables, but recently I've been working with like 5, 6, 7 syllables in a song, which isn't very good because like the lines have to be a lot shorter compared to long wordy rhymes, and it's quite cool to do and quite cool to be inspired by, to be fair. But to be fair, like using like the shorter lines is a lot more easy because you can get more flow and you can get more syllables in there. And I quite like it. Like at the moment, as I said, I've been writing a song that has like not a title yet, which you guys are gonna come into in just a minute. For why I write the music I do, I tend to write music to get people to think. I tend to write music that will get people to sit with their earphones in and think about their own life, think about life that other people might have. I use a lot of emotion language, so I use a lot of like stuff that is quite dark and quite emotional. Like the song Beat I've just been showing you is about domestic abuse, which is quite a bad thing, as everyone probably knows. Like it's a bit of a thing that people struggle with, and believe me, I've struggled with it in the past, and I have, and it haunts me for a very long time. But it kind of inspired me as well to do music again. There's also the fact that I also write music that of the way I think as a person. So the songs that I'll write that are either very depressing, so because it's just how I feel on the day. So if I'm talking to my friend on like Snapchat or Instagram or text messages or on phone, and we're just ranting to each other about our problems and we're just having our crying sessions. Believe me, yes, I have them because I'm a person, and also I suffer from quite bad depression and anxiety to the point of like it affects my work like I do now. But it also gives me so much time to sit there and go, right, this is what I'm going to do. And the stuff we say on those calls, I'm like, I've just said that. That could be quite a good lyric, and I'll write it down and I'll remember it, and I'll be like, I'll write it, and then I can't remember what song it was. It's the song that I'm writing at the moment is I tread so naturally. So I'm just like, I like that line. I tread so naturally, and yeah, like, and then I'm also inspired by listening to like certain songs. Like at the moment, I was inspired by "Walk on Water" by Eminem. I'm quite inspired by that, and songs like 53666 by MGK. You've got Crossing the Line by Mike Shinoda, Running from My Shadow by Mike Shinoda. I've got so many. You've got Stay by Post Malone, I'm quite inspired by. Slipknot, I'm quite inspired by most of their songs and how they write and how they get a message across. And 21 Pilots, I've always been inspired by them because they give me that emotion and they give me that style to do. Not once do I ever use aggressive language. Never use aggressive language. Question, like, I get a question quite a lot is like, do I use profanity? So do I use curse words? Do I use swear words? Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. I don't often use them because obviously if I have to, it gets a message across to like speaking normally as a normal person would. and I use a lot of profanity in like my everyday life. I use that quite a lot, but I don't often use it in my music because I want people to feel something instead of using the profanity to make people feel something. It's just pushing them to it. I just tend to use like words that are very bold, very outstanding, to the point of like you have to sit there with your earphones in and think. A question I get a lot is why rap? Why do I do rap music? Well, I can't sing for shit. I cannot sing at all. I can play instruments. I can play the drums. I can play a little bit of guitar. I used to play guitar all the time, but don't anymore. I kind of went off it because I found the drums, and I'm just now love the drums so much. So I just went like I wanted to make heavy metal. I wanted to make heavy metal music, but I was like, people don't really expect that from me when they see me on these videos. Don't really expect heavy metal, and I'm a big heavy metal fan. As you can probably see, I've got like metal Slipknot. I've got like Foo Fighters, Linkin Park, all behind me. Bands that are all inspired by rock and metal and all sort of bands, and that all have heavy guitars in them. So I kind of use that style of rock, but include it with rap. So it's like a rap rock style of thing. I think it's a bit like new metal, or what used to be new metal. If you guys don't know what new metal is, go check it out. It's like Limp Bizkit and Slipknot used to be new metal. Linkin Park were kind of new metal. So bands that I'm inspired by, minus Limp Bizkit, I'm not inspired by Limp Bizkit. Yeah, like I tend to write music every day, probably every day, because it gets my blood going. It gets like my brain's going. I'm just like, I'll write this. I'll write this. I'll write this. Write this, and I don't write songs until they're done. So there's songs that I've probably gone, yeah, fuck it, this isn't working, and I'll remove the song. But I'll go back to that song and I'll finish it. I never abandon a song fully. I'll always improve. And the deal with my album at the moment is obviously with us on being on lockdown, I can't record anything, so I can't put anything out. But I'm not going to put out singles. I will not be putting out singles. I will be waiting until the actual album release date, which is in December. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed it'll be December, January probably. So I'm just going to release everything there on streaming services like YouTube, Spotify, and probably SoundCloud. So I'll probably have my own them. But yeah, it's quite a cool thing to sit and write, and that's kind of my thought process really, is like, what can I do to make people think, and how I can do that to make people come back and listen to music. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a challenge. I keep talking about this song that doesn't have a title, alright? What I want you to do for me, not because I'm lazy, I want you guys to think of something. This song, I want you to think of a title. It can be anything. But remember, I use a lot of emotive language. I use a lot of inner rhymes, a lot of outer rhymes, and I use a lot of emotion behind my lyrics. So I want you guys to design a song title for me. I'm going to do a bit of a challenge. I want you to design a song title for me. And I will use that song title on my album called Isolation 15. For now, I've given it like a basic name of Lifeless Thoughts. So there's a bit of inspiration for you. I was playing around with a song name generator. I can never think of a song title for this song. So I just stuck with like, it was called 7 Billion Lifeless Thoughts, but then I thought that's too long. It's kind of a bit dull and a bit boring. So I just called it Lifeless Thoughts. But if you guys can think of anything better, I want to hear what you've got. So let's do that. So yeah, I just want to say, guys, thank you very much for watching. I really, really appreciate you guys being here, and I really appreciate the time, the effort that you guys give me as fans. I hope very, very soon I can put my album out for you and we can move forward. I can start making music videos for you. I can start doing all other stuff. I do have a tour on next year, hopefully, when the album gets done. I will be going on tour if all goes well. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So yeah, remember, I want to hear your song titles or ideas for a song. It's up to you. Anyways, but put them down in the description. In my description, I'll have my social media. So if you want to put them on my social media, there's Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. So if you want to tweet me, Instagram message me, which I actually got Instagram from one of you guys. So hello. Yeah. So yeah, it's absolutely awesome. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Stay happy. Stay healthy. There you go. I never confuse myself this time. Peace. Good night.